Ren, 6 things the public doesn't get about trainers, but should. That's a good hook.
It's a good hook.
That's a good hook. Because it's like, what is it that you don't understand, right? But you should understand. That's what that hook says in different words, but saying the exact same thing, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Number 1. A trainer's goal is not to make you sore. Soreness occurs when you do something new. It can be a byproduct of hard work, but isn't required to get results. Bad rest, dehydration, and poor nutrition also contribute. Do you have to be sore to get results, Ren?
No, and I want to amend the statement.
Shit.
A good trainer who understands biological science and knows how to achieve results. Their goal is not to make you sore.
Okay.
However, Jonathan,
yes,
a Shite trainer.
Shite, not to be mistaken with Shantae.
no, or Shanae, but a Shite trainer will absolutely take you into a assessment workout.
Okay.
And try to beat the dog poop out of you because they have a misunderstanding and they are serving you probably your own misunderstanding of what constitutes a quote unquote good workout.
Right.
And we see that a lot.
Yeah, I feel it's funny because this is one of those things that I intuitively understand. And I understand the science of it enough. I'm definitely not a researcher, but I understand the science of it enough to know that soreness might occur. It's not a bad thing to be sore, but it certainly doesn't have to occur. And yet, my dumbass comes home, and if I'm not sore the next day after workout, I still think, oh, maybe I didn't get a good enough workout that day.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because, take right now, for example. My inner thighs are quite sore from squatting. I'm like 2.5 days out of them squats, and I mean I'm not happy about it.
but you're pleased. But something calls to you there that feels right.
Well, I think it's just all that I'm trying to say is that even though I know that soreness isn't important for results, and I preach that to clients and I talk about that on the internet, a part of me is like, oh, but I kind of want to be sore myself.
Right.
Which is weird. But at the same time, I also know that for some clients, particularly newer clients, it might be so much of a deterrent that they don't want to come back to the gym. So you do need to be careful.
It's problematic, John, because when I talk to my clientele, moms over 30, I'm trying to teach them all the ways that they can, because typically they want fat loss. Let's just call it what it is.
Sure.
Usually a new client wants to lose weight. It's what it is. But typically what I'm trying to impart to them is that there are so many other factors that are more important to fat loss, non-exercise activity for one. And if you're so sore that you don't want to move that day, it's actually detrimental to the result that you want to achieve. I want you up and walking and moving and cooking and shopping and doing all the things you would normally do. If I incapacitate you to the level that you can't sit on the toilet, you're not likely to move very much in long term. That's not actually great for the desired result, although you think that you've had a good training session. I just use quote fingers for the people that can't see us. And you may feel really satisfied by that, but in actuality, John, reality, it's not the best thing. That's a good first point. Yeah. Taste the soup.
So a waiter, a man is at a restaurant. He calls the waiter over. He says, "Waiter, come here." And the waiter comes over, and the waiter says, "Yes, sir. How may I help you?" And he says, "Sir, taste the soup." And the waiter says, "Sir, is there something wrong with the soup? Is it too hot? Taste the soup. Taste the soup. Is there something wrong with the soup, sir? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is the flavor off? What's wrong with the soup? I just taste the soup. Taste the soup." And the waiter says, Fine. Sir, where's your spoon? Aha.
Can I can I say something
Aha.
to make a racially motivated statement? I've never actually heard a Jewish person tell this joke, and it's sweeter this way.
Yep.
I gotta admit it. Thank you for that experience, John. Also, let's not talk about your inner thighs anymore today. I'm uncomfortable.
They're getting thicker. My pants ripped.
That's enough.
The pants that I'm wearing right now do have a rip in them because my inner thighs are getting thicker.
Quite enough.
Too much legs. This is I'm a bro to end all bros. Like I didn't train legs more than once every 2 weeks for the first 20 years of my lifting career, and now I'm effectively training them every training session. Like what a stupid idea that was. It's not like you walk on them or anything.
Right.
Going back into soreness though, so I don't know. That to me is the weird part about soreness, but I do think it's very important to talk to your clients about the difference between soreness and pain, and how pain is often pinpointed. Pain doesn't go away after like 72 hours, right? Whereas soreness is more of a dull, like kind of tender to the touch, often more spread out. And it's very important if a client says, I hurt.
Yes.
To be able to ask them a few very quick questions to delineate which one is which. Because pain is bad. Soreness is usually okay. Now, if you beat the shit out of your client so bad that they're sore for 5 days, you done fucked up.
Yeah,
but
not good.
Don't do that again. And there might be the other part about soreness too is that if your client's constantly getting sore, I mean, some people do get sore more than others, for sure. There's a genetic component. But it might be worth looking into their recovery mechanisms.
Right.
So their level of hydration and their rest. Like, if somebody's not sleeping enough and not recovering, you really can't beat them up the same way in the gym.
Right.
And you kind of have to be honest, I think, with the client and talk to them about that. So soreness is a good indicator of a lot of things. It's not necessarily for gains. It's not detrimental to gains. That having been said, if you're constantly so sore that you can't push yourself in the gym, it might diminish your gains.
Right.
But it's a pretty important concept to understand. And so if you don't, I recommend searching some actual research on what soreness and it's delayed onset muscle soreness and what DOMS actually is.
Yeah.
It's worth doing some Googling and like looking up some actual research into what it is and how to identify it and how to perhaps guide people better to work with it. All right, moving on. A trainer cares why you want your goal more than the goal itself. While weight loss or weight gain might be important to track, we focus more on the why behind it. Identifying your underlying motivations are key to helping you stick with it.
Oh, here's one oft missed, right?
Yeah, what's up?
I think it's par for the course for a new trainer to dive in, because at that point, like when you first get certified and you're working with your first couple of clients, it's really normal to be so super fixated on the end result goal that you don't pay attention to the reasons behind the desire for the goal. It's certainly for me, my first couple of clients that were, textbook checked every box. Say, Ren, I want to be able to do 10 push-ups, or I want to lose at least 3 inches off my waist, or I want to go from a size 12 dress to a size 8 dress. Check, check, check. And them leaving disappointed because I didn't serve the actual why behind the need. Like they didn't feel any better about the deep-rooted thing. And it's really normal for a new trainer to just, hey, give me the goal, let's go get it, instead of like digging down to those 5 whys, for example. That's a great thing for a new trainer or any trainer to learn when somebody's giving you a goal set.
Well, so there's a law that you mentioned on a previous episode, Goodhart's law.
I
think that's apt here. You remember what that is?
Yeah, when a measure becomes the goal, it ceases to be a good measure.
Yes. A lot of the time, trainers fall prey and abuse Goodhart's law. and they turn the measure into the goal. And then even if the goal is met, they wonder why their clients aren't satisfied and why their clients leave. And it's because they mistook the measure for the client's actual goal. The measure, when a client comes in, the measure, I want to run a 5K, I want to lose 10 pounds, whatever, right? I want to put on 5 pounds of muscle, whatever whatever the measure is not the goal of the client. It's what the client believes is representative of what they actually want to achieve. And your job as a good coach is to figure out what they're actually representing. You see, when people come into your world, they try to speak your language because they feel like it's the way that they're supposed to speak in that world. But in doing that, they're not actually communicating to you what you need to know. And it's your job to peel back the layers of that onion, to ask why so many different ways. Oh, cool. 10 pounds, totally get it. A lot of clients come in. I've worked with a lot of people. We definitely help you with that. But I'm curious, before we get into it, what if you were to lose that 10 pounds, we were having this conversation. I'm curious, what would be different for you? Oh, why would that be? Can you remember a time when you felt that way? Oh, cool. Who else was there?
Right.
Oh, wow. It sounds to me like the goal really isn't 10 pounds, isn't it? And you can just, that's usually all that it takes. Now, you still might measure their weight. You still might measure their fat loss. But at least now you can connect it to the deeper reason why they're doing the thing. And talk about why you are assigning certain exercises or habits or nutrition protocols or whatever you do. Now you can at least talk about those things in so much as they pertain to what the client actually wants. Hey, we're doing squats because it's going to help you with this, which is going to lead to you getting your in-laws to shut the fuck up at Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
I don't know.
Basically, I mean, I can tell you, John, like I don't, and this may be different from you. And as I make this statement, I'm making it with the subsequent question to turn back to you. But I don't, other than like an athlete who needed to make weight for something, and I've only had one or two of those in my life ever, because it's not where I specialize. But other than that, I don't know any situation where the actual measure satisfied the client. Like I don't know any time that I've ever done that and they say, "Oh, cool, I lost 15.5 pounds. I'm totally satisfied with everything that's happened here." Like not
Life
any
is good now.
connection. Yeah.
Thanks so much. See you later, bud. Yeah.
Like it's never like. Have you ever had an experience where you just did that metric, that thing, and the client was just wildly overjoyed at the like? Does that happen for you?
I've definitely had, but it's hard to say because it's hard for me to know whether it was me like putting on like excitement for them for reaching either a weight loss or weight gain goal.
Right.
I definitely had moments where we celebrated meeting some arbitrary measure that we set out to meet, but the first thing we did, we had usually already done it, to be honest, was set the next thing. Like it ain't no end. It was certainly, I've never had a like happily ever after moment. Like, you're good. I'll take care. And they're like, yep, I'm good.
You've solved my life.
They give me a queen wave as they drive away. No, I mean, I've never really had that. But
that's funny.
Yeah, you've solved my life. Where did you get that white glove?
Did you have that when you came in today? Because I didn't notice that white glove.
Did you know we were gonna do this? Like, do you just keep that with you all the time? Like, how did this happen?
I keep a celebratory white glove in the glove box, John, just in case. You never know when someone might solve my life. I need to wave myself into a sunset. But that's true, man. Like even when you have a metric goal, like something that you can measure, like the only thing I've ever seen happen when the measurement is hit is somebody goes, "What's next?"
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I've ever seen happen. I've never seen somebody say, "Oh, I'm finished." Who's a comedian that talks about people being in the gym that are fit? Like, what are you doing here, bro? You're done.
You're done. Go home.
Go home. Like that. I've never had that happen to a client, and I think it's a bit of a sandpit. It's a bit of quicksand for a new trainer. You could be really disappointed by that because you probably believe that getting that thing will solve the person's life in a way that they're incredibly thankful. And usually, nah, son.
Nah, son.
It ain't happening.
You're done been mistaken.
Right.
Yeah.
Beat and slide to the death.
You got it. The Jewish thing is to disconnect your finger a little bit and just wag it. Is
that what they teach in the culture, John?
That's what they teach us at Sunday school.
All right, okay.
That and how to read from the Torah beautifully.
That sounds very cultural. I don't know what any of it means, but I love it.
Yeah. People don't become trainers to get rich. We are hard-working men and women doing a job because we believe it makes a difference. For that reason, our fulfillment comes from seeing you transform into the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm. There's a, what do they call it, a plot hole? I don't know if that's the right term. There's something here that needs to be addressed for the trainer, though, right? Because while this is true, it doesn't mean devalue what you do as a coach. Because so often, right, when we talk to people about pricing and how you need to raise your prices at least to meet inflation, but not only that, to meet the improvement of the quality of your service. Like, you're not going to spend $6,500 on mastery of your business and then continue to charge people $65 per month. Like that's not logical. So on one end, this is absolutely true. On the other end, for coaches and doing your business, this mindset can put you in a place where it's detrimental to you. You got to make money. If you really want to help people, right, you got to be in business. and if you want to be in business, unfortunately, people are going to need to pay you for what you do. And John, you know your story that you always tell about the toothbrushes really sort of highlights the more practical way to be the saint that a lot of trainers want to be in their business, because you can sainthood your way into poverty in this business really, really easily, because so many people will only see the level of value that you see in what you provide. And if you're already working out, kind of don't feel like you're really doing a whole lot for people. You're just helping them work out. I do that myself. That's easy. Why would I charge for that?
It's a funny little juxtaposition, isn't it? Where
it is.
I don't think anybody enters the fitness industry because they think it's the quickest path to riches.
Right.
I mean,
this is true.
Like that's not why we end up here. But at the same time, you're right. You got to make money, and there are lots of ways to make a lot of money in this industry. But you can't get stuck in this spiral of, oh, I just want to help people. Because it's objectively wrong.
Right.
The way to actually help the most amount of people is to make a lot of money. And then do something positive with your money.
Right.
Don't just be a jackass hoarder who, buys yachts,
I'm not sure you're clear on the pronunciation of that word.
No, that's how it's spelled. That's how it is. When I write books. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's how the word is supposed to be pronounced according to the spelling.
That's on me.
Yeah.
You're on your 12th book, John. I'm on book 0.
Yeah. According to the spelling of the word, it's pronounced yachts. That's how it's spelled.
I've overstepped. That, by the way, it's one of my favorite games from Milton Bradley. But please continue, man.
What's your favorite game from Milton Bradley?
Yahtzee. Super enjoyable.
That's Yahtzee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
I've erred again. I'm not ready.
YAH T-Z-E-E. That's Yahtzee.
I've never written
Right?
any books, John. Forgive me.
Yahtzee is Y-A-C-H-T-S.
Oh, that's on me. That's on me.
That's why you got to get it deep in the back of your throat, like some.
I don't want to discuss that any further.
Like an angry Latino woman. You got to really let that roll in the back of your throat.
Please move on.
I'm kind of upset that we don't still have Carolina on this podcast because I feel like we can't make enough angry Latino women jokes anymore.
It doesn't come off as effortlessly as it once did.
It's limiting.
Yeah,
it's limiting.
We've offended enough people up to this point. And I think we're still on pace.
Do you remember your amputee joke last episode?
Gosh. I had nightmares about that afterwards. I was like, the disabled vets aren't really going to enjoy that one too much.
Times like this, you wish that we edited this podcast, don't you?
We don't. But he knows. What are you going to do?
On to the next one. On to the next one.
I stay in the house mostly anyway. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So
back to seriousness. A trainer doesn't just count reps. We focus on form, ensuring your workouts are both safe and effective. Better form also means more muscle recruitment and better results in less time.
I would like to admit a pet peeve that I'm sure we share.
What's that?
Just for context, I live in an apartment building, right, in the center of the city in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's probably one of the only true metro areas in North Carolina. It's, the Charlotte Hornets NBA team is here, the Carolina Panthers NFL team. So I live in a city, like a city. And my fitness facility downstairs in my building is where I train. Trainers come in all the time, right? Because the people that live here, the residents, they hire trainers, and trainers come in and help them. And one of my biggest pet peeves is the trainer who even has his phone out during the training session. And I don't mean his phone is out because he's going through like quick coach as he's going with. I don't mean that. Like the phone's out. Or the trainer who's just sitting somewhere on the side or they're on a bench sitting, the trainer is, and the other person's on another bench using the Smith machine. Like, I hate that so much. Even if you feel like you don't have anything to do, right? You need to maintain some proximity to your client, proximity that is not overbearing, proximity that doesn't cross the line of harassment. Don't have a female client and you stand behind her while she's doing RDLs, but you're maintaining some proximity, some interest. And, for me, it's the puppy rule, right? I only had one dog ever that I raised from a puppy. And the first thing that the breeder told me, said, hey, with this puppy, he's either in the kennel or he's out and you're playing together.
Yeah.
He doesn't wander around. You don't just let him out. Like, you're engaged with this puppy or the puppy's put away. And that's how I always looked at training clients in person when I did. Like, I'm going to be in your proximity. I may talk to you about some other things. I may make you giggle. I have that 3 laugh rule, but I'm going to be paying attention, attentive. I'm going to be in your eyesight if the particular exercise allows it. I'm never going to be sitting away from you, waiting for you to finish your workout. That's not personal training. That's not great coaching. So yes, much more. I'm looking to catch every single thing that could be possibly caught during that workout routine. No matter how many thousands of times we've done those moves, trainers do not just count for you. It's actually a waste of your. If you hired a trainer in person and all they're doing is say, go to this next exercise and I'm going to count, you have not hired a professional.
You also trainers are generally pretty bad counters.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this is a funny one for me because trainers by and large have trouble counting past 7.
Absolutely.
I speak from experience. And so if you are hiring somebody to count, you can do better.
You need to contact your local investment banker because you've put your money in the wrong place.
You have not made a good hire.
Oh man,
you should have checked references a little bit more carefully on that one.
I can do the 5, and then everything after that is 2 more because I've lost track of the count.
Right.
My clients all knew when I said 2 more. They would call me out on it. You don't know what number we're on, do you? I'm like, I don't know, but it feels like two more. That's so funny and so true across the board.
It also, I mean, it is. The deeper point here to me is how little the abstract numbers matter, and how much more the intensity and monitoring the intensity at any given time matters.
Yes.
And it's very hard. You can monitor your own intensity, and RPE, rating of perceived exertion, is a useful way to do that. But having somebody else who isn't you to push you just a little bit harder and monitor you that way can be really effective. That having been said, you're going to execute differently on different days. Some days you're going to be revving on all engines. Some days you're going to be like a little bit beat up or tired or whatever, right? And one day you might be able to hit 12. Another day you might be able to hit 9. The actual number doesn't matter. It's how much you're able to get out of that number that matters. And so we joke that trainers can't count, and it's kind of true.
It's kind of true.
We're not, I don't think too good. We're, we just, how do I not offend people?
When has that ever stopped you before?
We chose a career where you lift things up and then put it back down in the same place.
Pretty good.
Give or take 6 to 8 times. And then we sit down for 45 seconds or so and then do it again. That's what we decided to do with our lives. And yeah, but when it's not just that we don't know how to count, which we don't mostly, it's also the good ones of us are often paying a lot of attention to a lot of other things.
Right.
Paying attention to how you're moving, paying attention to how you're exerting, paying attention to how much tension you're creating with the movement, paying attention to how this seems for you. It's hard to count at the same time.
Right.
When you're thinking about all of these other things versus the little Homer Simpson brain that's going which I'm sure does happen sometimes in the gym. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm sure that it happened to me too. Like, I trained 12 people in a row, one-on-one, like for an hour at a time. Like, you're telling me my brain didn't wander every so often?
Right.
I mean, it can't not. But there's a lot of things with really great personal training when you're focused on that person, where you're reading a lot of different signs of how their body is moving. And all jokes aside, it's hard to count at the same time.
It really is. Good save. Good save, John.
Good save. Well, I do want to come out with like a whole line of personal trainer novelty gadgets. I always thought this would be really, really funny. And one of them would be like a counter, like, there's like umpire counters that clicks up, but it only counts to 7. and then if you try to click it past 7, it just says 2 more.
I can do that myself. I don't need a device for
Another one that I thought would be funny is a big wall clock that has the seconds hand. Because, you get in a client to do any timed movement. Doesn't matter what it is. Any time movement. And you tell them it's like 30 seconds. I would often like point them at the clock and be like, okay, when the second hand hits the 6, like you're done or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, what they wouldn't know is that I'd have like a secret button. And when the second hand would like hit the 5 at like 25 seconds, I'd click it and it would start to go backwards.
Go back. That's good. That's just good training. That's damn good coaching, John.
I do think it would be funny to come out with a novelty line of gadgets.
Oh man, it's good stuff.
Next up, IG Fitness would be boring if trainers actually shared their workouts. Why? Because they basically repeat the same stuff aggressively, progressively, and consistently. Honestly, real good training is as follows: same shit, different shirt.
So, I think it was yesterday, and it doesn't matter what day it is because this podcast doesn't come out on the day that we record it. But I look at an influencer, and the post said, um, increase spinal density or something like that. Increase the density of your bone.
Oh, that's one of those things that sounds like it's a real thing, but
Yeah,
clearly isn't a real thing.
Sound like a real thing. And he was effectively doing he was doing spinal flexion in as many directions as he could, except for the extension. So sit ups, then side bends, then the back extension machine device. And I was like, well, first, this is bullshit. Second, what are we progressing here?
Right.
Like, literally, like, what
Right.
do you, how are you going to progress it? Number one, are you going to start to load spinal flexion? Right. And that's the thing. I mean, you could do that. But for what, to what end? Like, I don't think people understand the difference between entertainment and education on social media. I think that the trainers that do it get it. Maybe subconsciously they get it. They just know that they get more numbers for doing crazy shit. But the danger in it is that the layperson, John, doesn't know that this person has had 6 different workout videos this week for the purpose of entertaining me in 6 different ways, not to demonstrate that changing my workout every single time I do a workout is going to progress me to my goals. Also there's nothing wrong with working out, training whatever way you want to. Like, I don't give a shit if somebody goes out and runs one day and then day 2 they do a gymnastics obstacle course where they're on the parallel bars and the balance beam. Like, that's awesome. If that's your mode of movement, more power to you. Enjoy invite yourself to the buffet of movement. I love it. But if you have a specific goal, there is a law of specificity, right? The SAID principle. And you're mostly going to be doing a lot of similar same shit, different shirt, right? You're mostly going to be doing a lot of the same stuff repeatedly until your body adapts to it. I always use the example, and then I'll stop rambling. For my clients, when they say, hey, how often we're going to change the workouts? We're going to change it every month about, but we're going to do very similar things for 4 weeks at least. And they say, well, why don't we, aren't we supposed to keep the body guessing, keep your muscles guessing? I'm like,
yeah. I mean, to me, that's the core of it, is that there have been a whole host of bullshit marketing slogans to sell whatever marketers decide they want to sell that have confused the hell out of the public. Muscle confusion. And it's just, all that those things do is make people think that whatever they were doing previously is wrong.
Right.
And that now this is the solution. But those same marketers need to sell something the next year. And so all that they do is they come out with a new hook and they say, no. Everything you did last year was also wrong. Here's what it is this year. And at a certain point in time, Lucy can only pull the football away from Charlie Brown so many times before Charlie Brown says, no, fuck you, Lucy. I'm not trying to kick this football anymore. I don't believe you. I don't believe in my own ability to kick this football.
Right.
And maybe I'm just going to go play a different sport.
Right. But this is absolutely true. It's the absolute truth, right? So people get so confused, man. The physiques that you admire aren't built by doing a lot of varying things in short periods of time. There may be quite a variance over the course of 20 years of exercise.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sure. You might, somebody's been a sprinter at one point in their life and they were a gymnast at it. Absolutely cool. But in the course of a week, they're not building that body by being a sprinter on Monday. On Tuesday, I like to be a powerlifter. On Wednesday, I like to do Olympic. Like, that's just not the way it works. So you're looking at a performance of what a basic workout allows the human to do, and not looking at a workout that indicates how the person got to that physique or level of fitness. And that's important to know the difference. We're doing boring shit all the time.
Well, and what somebody did to achieve their level of fitness is often different from how they celebrate the level of fitness that they have now achieved.
Right.
And I don't think either is better or worse, but the people doing these like fantastical human body tricks or that have some newfangled jumpy, flippy, twisty, squatty thing with dumbbells and, that they curl and then press and then do a tricep extension and then do a single leg pistol squat to a push-up clap.
Right.
All choreographed to music. And that come out, first of all, it's very impressive that they can choreograph this to music.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, they're coming up with this every single day, like something new, or every few days, something new. That's not what they did to get into that kind of shape. Right. I promise you.
Right.
That's how they celebrate it, and that's how they show it off, and that's how they gain attention for it. And oftentimes, what you don't see is that if you actually buy the programs from these people or train with them, their training isn't anything like what they showcase on social media. I know a lot of these people. They're very good coaches. They understand the difference between performative fitness and real training. Performative fitness is how they get attention. Real training is how they get results. There is a distinct difference between the two.
Solid point.
People become personal trainers after years of mental and physical self-discovery in addition to study. When you hire a trainer, you aren't hiring them for the hour. You're hiring them for their years of specific knowledge and hard-won expertise. When this is the final one.
Man, this is such a good one. This one goes into your plumber example that you use all the time. The plumber tinkering around for 30 minutes so that he can get paid without being questioned about what he did, right? When he spent probably 5 minutes fixing it and then just bangs on the pipes for about 25 more minutes to justify the purchase. Because when you're buying expertise, you are not buying the work involved in solving your problem. You're buying the education and experience involved in making the problem easily solvable by the expert. So you're never paying for, and this is the time for money thing too. And if you work in an in-person environment, obviously a big box gym, that's how you're probably going to have to work. The problem when you get online or when you get to a sole proprietorship is you don't understand that you're being paid for a solution, not for the efforts involved. So I can see how this can get sort of mixed up for a coach. However, they're not paying you because you gave them 30 minutes. They're paying you for the 10, 15, or 20 years that allowed you to boil all the information down to a simply executed 30-minute program. And it's important to know the difference here because you can really get caught up. But yeah, we figured it all out. We researched it all. We asked all the questions. We messed it all up. We tried it, whittled it down to something systematic, and then we present it to you. And that's sort of the gist of what you're getting when you hire a professional. And also professionals have a process, man. Stop. Any consumers out there that listen to this, I don't know if consumers listen or not, but I know John.
They'd absolutely do. We have people from all over. I mean, I don't know if they're going to listen, if they're going to click on this episode, but we have people from all across the board in a lot of industries listening to this. I think you'd be surprised, Jen.
So if you're a consumer out there, and I know John's consumers are here, right? Some of the people that I work with in Online Trainer Academy as a mentor, we know those people are here for sure. But in any case, professionals have a process, right?
Yeah.
And when you deny a professional the opportunity to utilize their proven process, you also deny yourself the professionalism that you paid for. Anytime you hire an expert and you begin to tell them how you want them to deliver their expertise, you have fundamentally hired an amateur because you're in charge again. And that's just kind of
don't hire an expert with the expectation that you're going to tell them what to do.
Right. That's just dumb. It's wasteful.
Yep.
even if you are that dumb, don't waste your money. Send some of that money, or send some to John. He needs more candy. He's been he's been exhausted.
I don't need more candy.
But you need more candy, John.
I ate a lot of candy before this episode. I had a lot of candy last night too. I had 4 caramel squares in my hand, and I looked at Allison and I was like, I'm gonna eat 4 too many caramel squares tonight. She's like, why don't you just not eat them? Why don't you put those back in their bag? You've already had a bunch. I'm like, who are you talking to? You do not know the man that you married, sweetheart.
Oh my gosh. John's had an exorbitant amount of candy just before this podcast. Also,
a lot.
Probably sat still this long.
Rosebuds, chocolate rosebuds. I don't know why I like them so much. All right, I'm going to recommend another episode if you're looking for something else to listen to. Man, thank you for being part of this train wreck with me.
Yeah, you're welcome, John.
It was only a train wreck before we started. I don't know how much of that, if any, is going to actually get on. It took us without Amber, it took us 15 minutes to figure out how to start this thing and get our camera to work.
There's one button, by the way, listeners.
Once we got going, I feel like we got it. We got it going.
She'll fix it.
If you are really wanting more right now, I don't know why you're laughing, man. I recommend checking out episode 70. The title of that is Near Psychic Industry Predictions. This was actually a live talk that I gave. It was about an hour and a half fireside chat that I gave, and talked about how I learn, talked about how I read, talked about how I try to get ahead of all of the trends that are out there and have a pretty good history of doing that. I try to skate to where the puck is going. I try to put out products and things like that people eventually catch up to. Prime example, COVID-19 pandemic hit. I was the person sitting there who owns the industry-leading course in education and textbook for online fitness. Talk about waiting for the world to catch up to something that you knew was valuable and important. That's just one example. So that's episode 70, Near Psychic Industry Predictions. I think you really enjoy it. People, I've gotten a lot of messages about that episode, so just scroll back in your feed, have a listen. And as always, thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast on Spotify. If you go to this podcast homepage, you'll actually see at the top, there's a way that you can click 5 stars now. So please go ahead and do that if you listen to on Spotify. And when? Adios, amigo.
Adios, John. Hell of a show.
Hell of a show.